Here, she's taking part in the World Gymnastic Championships in Budapest.
Pushed up on that handstand just a little twice. And there's that shoe front, but nice landing. That's a good piece. Brings it nicely to a close, and the British girl...
At 18, she's been training in gymnastics for 8 years. As the current Great Britain champion, she expects to be selected to go to the Seoul Olympics. Lisa's one of 3 children in her family training in gymnastics.
Well, I do 4-piece gymnastics or Olympic gymnastics, and my brother does sports acrobatics. My sister is interested in artistic as well, so she does mostly at the moment. She's doing basics and conditioning and a little bit on the apparatus, whereas my brother does a lot more tumbling and balances people. He's a bass and he balances people on his arms, so he's quite strong. Okay.
5 nights a week, her parents drive Lisa, her brother and sister 10 miles to their gym club.
It helps because we're all going to the same gym club, so it's a bit, all the lifts we're together most of the time, so that's lucky. But we're all interested in sports, so it's a good job that our parents are willing to take us, because they have to be, otherwise we wouldn't be able to do as much as we do. Train for 5 days a week, and that's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Straight arms.
At weekends I try and do a few more hours, and 4 on Sunday, and I try and train about 6 hours on a Saturday.
And back. Go on, save it, head in, head in.
On a Thursday I normally come in and just do homework or watch telly, you know, things just to relax really. I don't get a lot of time to go out.
Lisa's success is not just a family matter. Her coach, Gareth Davis, also gives up most of his evenings and weekends to train her for no financial reward.
I've been with him for about 8 years now, so I know him fairly well, and we've got quite a good relationship, so it's not so bad, where some gymnasts don't really get on with their coach at all.
Yeah. Feet were a little bit slow coming down at the round-off, just a little bit high on. Didn't feel much contact then, did you?
Sometimes we do argue, but that's expected because we see so much of each other. But besides that, we get along well, and we normally communicate quite well, although he says I don't talk to him enough. But I normally keep most things to myself, so it's not so bad.
There's one thing that all gymnasts fear before a big competition. Six months ago, Lisa had a heavy fall.
She's been up to see the team doctor, and it's making considerable progress, but there's still a little localized spot which is quite inflamed. It's just where the anterior capsule keeps nicking all the time. But it's settling down quite nicely at the moment. But if you just have a little press in there...
Lisa has a hairline fracture in her ankle.
Just a little bit of localized pain.
With the Olympic trials due shortly, this is a big problem. But she continues training in spite of her injury.
Lane jump, chest and up. Okay, throw your head back. Right, more chest this time, yeah?
Like most top athletes, Lisa gets a Sports Council grant, which covers some of her expenses.
And that first position again.
You have to be realistic that you're not going to become a millionaire, you know, from doing gymnastics. You're the one that has to pocket all the bills. But I'm lucky enough I get a minute grant award, so that helps a lot with petrol and clothing. So it's mostly my parents that have to pocket the bills.
Stretch, shoulders back. Wow.
Lisa's parents have probably spent about £25,000 to get her to Olympic standard. That's £3,000 a year. In the Soviet Union or Eastern Europe, the state would have paid for her training. 16 years ago, we in Britain were enchanted with the charm and talents of these young Eastern European champions. Nadia Comaneci and Olga Korbut became international stars. But many in the West criticise the communist countries for pushing their youngsters too early and too hard to achieve this success.
That, for me, is championship performance.
In Britain today, young gymnasts like Natasha Whitehead are being coached more and more intensively, and they're starting younger and younger.
Lift your head. Head up. Okay. Right, next time we'll have flick together.
For some time now, there's been quite a lot of concern over young children being involved in sport, particularly at a high level, and coaches.
Well, I have thought about giving up a few times. You always think, oh, is it worth all the effort? But you have to think over it carefully because you put so much effort into it already. And luckily, so far, I've always thought it more important to carry on, and I still enjoy it, so that's the most important thing. Pass me my shorts. It's going to be hot, so I'm going to be nice and brown. It's a joke, isn't it?
Lisa is not going to the Olympics. Despite all her efforts and determination, her ankle injury has, after all, kept her out of the British team. Instead, she's going to Canada to train with a Canadian club to gain wider experience of competition. She's probably missed her one and only opportunity to compete in the Olympic Games.
There probably isn't a lot of hope of me going to the next one because I'm going to be around about 22, so I might be a bit too old then, but I mean, it just really depends what the future holds for me. But it was a disappointment, but I've got over the disappointment now, and I'm just going to concentrate on the British and the World Championships next year, so hopefully I should still be competing.
Lisa Elliot, goal line, up San Diego there.